Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I'll be talking about a linebacker that the Washington Commanders drafted this year that I think has a chance to be a stud and is going to be better than most people think. And some people have even comped him to 49ers All-Pro, Fred Warner. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well so you never miss a video, and comment down below the player you think is going to take the biggest leap from year one to year, or actually just the biggest leap from last year to this year. So any player that's not a rookie. So let's get right into it. This is the second time I'm recording it. First file got deleted or whatever, or glitch in the system. So recording it again. So if it's a little shortened, that's why. But let's get into it. So the Washington Commanders drafted Jordan McGee in the 5th round, and I've heard some really good things. And the more and more I've heard about him, and the more I've researched about him, the more I feel that he's going to be a very good player for the Commanders. And not only that, he's sitting behind some really good linebackers, and he's been working with the ones. I don't think that's a big deal, and I'll talk about that later, why I don't think him working with the ones is a big deal. But I do think him working with Bobby Wagner, a first ballot Hall of Famer, if not a first ballot Hall of Famer, he's a Hall of Famer for sure. Working with him, and then working with Frankie Louvu, who's not in the picture here, and then working with Jamin Davis. And Jamin Davis isn't a stud, but he's been in the league for 3 years. He's a decent player, and he has some, parts of his game where he's good. He can rush the passer at a solid level. And I made a video a couple days ago talking about how Jamin Davis has been working with the edge rushers a little bit. So if you want more of a breakdown on that, go ahead and watch that video. But all these linebackers have different things that they're good at. Bobby Wagner, very good against the run, very good tackler, can get to the quarterback occasionally. He's, not bad and, not terrible in coverage, but his strength isn't necessarily in coverage. You got Jamin Davis, solid in coverage, and is athletic, can get to the quarterback occasionally, or at least coming out of college, he's supposed to be good in coverage. He's been good at times, but that's supposed to be his strength. He's supposed to be one of those like modern day linebackers. And you got Frankie Louvu, who's number 4 right here, who is more of a, he can rush the quarterback. I think he's 12.5 sacks the last couple years. So all of them can get to the quarterback. And very good tackler, can do a little bit of everything. So it's good that Jordan McGee gets to learn behind those guys. And you look at Jordan McGee, and I think the last time I recorded this, I talked about it earlier, but he looks like an absolute freak of nature standing next to Jamin Davis. And Jamin Davis is supposed to be a freak of nature himself. I mean, coming out of college, 6'4", 235, whatever he is, 4.4 40-yard dash time, 44-inch vertical or something like that. But Jordan McGee looks absolutely huge next to him, and he's athletic as well. Not only, strong, but he's quick and explosive. So I'm really excited to see what Jordan McGee can do this year for the Washington Commanders. Not really this year. I mean, of course, if he does something this year, that's great. But really the next couple of years, because he's going to have more opportunity after if Bobby Wagner leaves, and same thing with Jamin Davis, who's a free agent after this year. So you see right here, he's getting some work. I believe this is early on in OTAs, maybe the first day. Looks pretty fluid, looks pretty quick. And, a lot of people projected him go like 4th-ish round. Commanders got him in the 5th. Very good value there. Just showing you guys that a couple of times. But we'll go over some. I might make a full video breaking everything down with him. But right now, or like the type of player he is, maybe look at some clips and film, even though I'm not a film breakdown guy, just going over some film. But here, looking at his numbers, number 1 linebacker combine score or whatever ranking here by NFL.com, 4.55 40-yard dash time, which is very good. Not as good as Jamin Davis, but still very good for a guy his size. 35.5-inch vertical, pretty good as well. See the broad jump, not sure if that's good. I'm assuming it's good though. And his height, 6'1", 228 pounds. You see him standing next to Jamin, and I know he does have the helmet, and maybe Jamin stand a little bit weird with his, I don't know, like kind of slanted. But it does not look like Jamin Davis is 3 inches taller than Jordan McGee here. So either Jordan's a little bit taller or Jamin's a little bit shorter than what they're listed as, 6'4" and 6'1". But either way, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But He does look like an absolute freak of nature here. And just looking over, we'll read his overview real quick and then look at some stats. So there are occasions where it can be tough to discern between McGee's instincts and his willingness to take aggressive tracks downhill at the first sight of an opening. He'll avoid run-fit responsibilities at times, will also make more plays near the line of scrimmage. McGee lacks ideal size, but plays with good strength and aggression, is able to bounce off bigger bodies to find his way to tackle tries from challenging angles. He has a good early trigger, but his sideline-to-sideline range is average. McGee needs to prove he can make plays with better discipline in order to become more than a solid backup with special teams value. And I guess he talked there about the size. I don't think it's that much of an issue. And, he's 228. That's big enough. I guess 6'1". If he's 6'1", I guess that's a little short, but I feel like he's a little bit taller than that. And on his, at least at Temple, he was listed at 6'3", 210, and I guess he's gained some weight from since then. But usually the colleges give them an extra inch or two, try to be generous, but I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. But looking at his stats and just some more information about him, believe he was a team captain, and we'll accept those cookies or whatever that is, but believe he was a team captain, and I think he grew up in the DMV area, or the Virginia area, maybe. That's what I heard from someone. And I think when he was drafted, people were saying that. Went to Temple, played there for 4 years, and got playing time right away. Had 15 tackles his freshman year, 1.5 tackles for loss, an interception, returned that 45 yards and a fumble recovery. And then 2021 is when he really started to play. 54 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups. So next year, also 3 pass breakups, but increases tackles by a lot, 86, 9 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, 3 pass breakups, like I said, and a fumble recovery and a forced fumble. This past year was his best year. 80 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 4 pass breakups, and a forced fumble. So had a really good year. No interceptions besides his freshman year, so his redshirt freshman year. So we'd like to see a little bit more, but besides that, some really good numbers, and I believe he was a team captain for Temple. I'm not sure what their mascot is, but whatever. For Temple, he was a team captain and projected to go 4th round. Commanders get him in the 5th. Think it was a solid pick, and I think Daniel Jeremiah early on in the draft process was saying, I haven't heard his name come up a lot in draft discussions, but from the film I'm watching, I don't know why that's not the case. So that's, a guy that is pretty high on him. I'll go ahead and see if I can find it right here. But that young, okay. So he said, finishing up linebackers, and really enjoyed watching Jordan McGee. His name hasn't come up one time in my talk with the GM personal directors. What am I missing? He's instinctive, twitchy, and tough. And I heard someone say that Logan Paulson comped him to Fred Warner. If he's half the player Fred Warner is, that would be amazing. But it's just something to consider there. And because, the 49ers did draft Fred Warner, and Adam Peters was there, and now Adam Peters is here. So something to consider there. Would love him to be, again, half the player that Fred Warner has been in San Francisco, and all-pro, pretty much going to be a perennial all-pro for the rest of his career. But in my opinion, Jordan McGee, don't expect a lot from him this year just because he is playing behind, Bobby Wagner, Jamin Davis, Frankie Louvu. But if he can develop himself, get developed as a good special teams player this year, and maybe get a few reps in games that were either up by a lot or losing, but really just soak it in, learn from these guys, from Bobby Wagner, from Frankie Louvu, from Jamin Davis. There's something you can learn from each one of those guys. And I think almost treat this as a redshirt year in terms of how much he actually plays on defense. And I think going into year 2, where Bobby Wagner's a free agent and Jamin Davis is as well, you can feel good about Jordan getting his opportunity. And honestly, how they feel about him could determine if they keep Jamin Davis or Bobby Wagner or both guys. If they're not feeling great about Jordan McGee, maybe they keep 1 or 2 of those guys. But if they feel really good about him, hey, you might as well keep that guy, or give him his opportunity and move on from Jamin or Bobby and let them walk, and maybe you get a comp pick. That's kind of my thoughts on the whole situation. But I am excited to see what he can do. And he could be a guy that really does impress in training camp in this offseason and kind of forces them to play him. And that would be amazing. That would be amazing, this class. I'm really excited about this class. I think they've got a lot of good players. And Jordan McGee might be my favorite one besides Jaden Daniels. But there's a lot of guys that are intriguing. You got Luke McCaffrey, Brandon Coleman, Benson, like just so many guys. So that's it for today's video. If you guys stayed till the end, I want you guys to comment down below Quentin Dunbar, Redskins. I mean, he played on the Redskins, and I think the Commanders traded him to the Seahawks right when Rivera got here. And hey, yeah, I don't think he's done a lot ever since, but just a little bit of a throwback there. And that's the name I had in the other video, but I couldn't think of it, so I had to cut out. So that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace.